Wonderful. Can everybody hear me loud and clear? Great. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Monday Momentum. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of brand positioning, how trust really creates business growth. Because a lot of us, we want to grow a business or we want to grow that thing. And the question is, how can we do it? How do we do it? What could that look like? And so this thing, right, that I want to talk about today, it's something that quietly drives everything in business that most people never sit down and think about intentionally. And that again is how to, position your brand position, whatever you want to call it. And specifically kind of how to trust, how to create that trust engine behind everything that you're doing. I think that's the most important thing. So again, right, feel free to join in the conversation. You can unmute yourself, you can talk in the chat. But the goal is, just to really start asking that question. And when I think about brand positioning and trust, right, this is what I mean. So you could have the best product, the best service, the best deal, the best offer. You could be the best mentor. But if people don't trust you, then none of it really is moving, right? None of it moves. And so trust is that thing, right? That makes people, that makes someone choose you over someone else who has maybe the same exact business, the same credentials, the same price, the same pitch. Like, why do they pick me over someone else, right? Over my competitor? Why do they pick you over your competitor, right? And so that's the one thing I want you to be thinking about. And the way you build trust at scale is through how you position yourself, how you show up, how people see you. All of that is really important. It's not exactly like what you sell, right? It's not your product, but it's really how you show up. It's also like, what do you stand for? How do you make people feel when they talk to you? How do you make people feel before you even ask something, right? Before I say, hey, come invest with Phoenix, or, come join my expansive life, or whatever it is, right? How do I make them feel? That is brand positioning. And most people don't think about it, right? Because they're just like, well, I have a product. I just need to put that out there. But it's how do you set yourself apart? How do people start to trust you, right? And that's what I want us to talk about today. And so before we start, right, I want to talk about something a little bit concrete. So whatever you're doing, whether you're even if you've interacted with people in the past, right, I want you to think about a client or a customer or an investor or a mentee or someone who chose to work closely with you or who chose to buy something from you or who chose to align with you, whatever it is. The question I want you to think about today is, why did they choose you? And it's not what you think, right? If you've ever asked them that question, right, what did they actually say? What was the reason that they gave? When I talk to investors, I asked that question. I'm like, what made you say yes to us? What made you join this call? What made you align with us, right? I think it's important to know. So I would love to hear if people want to share, if you want to unmute yourself, but if you've ever done something, right, and people picked you over someone else, like, why did they choose you? And if you've ever asked them that question, I'd love to hear. I love to hear what your, what that their response was, because I think that's really important. And if you don't feel like talking, put it in the chat. Oh, I love the hand. Okay. Unmute yourself, whoever I saw. Both of the hands went up at the same time. So, Mary, go ahead.
So I did raise capital. I helped someone raise capital and they let me come in and get 5% equity. And it was only two investors, which was nice. And the reason is trust, because of my is why they did it, and my background. So I've already done some investing myself, and they can see it. And so it was trust.
Wonderful. Chinity, go ahead. Oh, hands went
Yes,
down.
I want to pretty much say similar to what Mary stated. It was usually trust. They believe what I said. They saw what I've done in the past, and they felt that, you know what, this is the right person to do exactly what we're trying to do. So that level of trust, it speaks volumes, especially when someone doesn't know you and you might be new, or they're trying to see if there's a good fit between the two of you. That trust actually goes a long way, and that's usually why people tend to, give up their money.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I want you guys, everyone else who's listening, and in the comments, I heard a visible brand presence. But I want you to listen to what you're hearing, right? And if someone wants to say something, please feel free to unmute yourself. And then if you're done talking, mute yourself back. But nobody said because their website was pretty or their website had the flashiest colors, right? Or nobody even said price, right? What we heard a lot is trust, right? And people are talking about that feeling, right? And that feeling is your brand. And so as you're thinking, and you might be even new to this, right? And you might be thinking, how do I start, right? That's think about that feeling and that feeling that you, whatever it is that you make people feel, and you, if you're not shaping it intentionally, then you're hoping that it lands right every time. And hope is never a strategy. So the question I want you to think about is how can you build that trust? And then this is the harder question. So now we ask like the people who have said yes to you, why did they say yes to you? And the harder question is what is there a difference, right, between what you want to be known for and what you're actually known for right now, right? And so the next thing I want you to think about is like if someone is following you online or knows your work, someone who's maybe following you online or really knows your work, right? And if they had to describe what you do, how would they describe that, right? Would they be able to describe that in one or two sentences? Would they be able to say, this is what Dr. Nkem does, or this is what Mary does, or this is what Lajide does? Like, would they be able to say that? And if you ask them, like, what would they say, right? That's what I want you. So think about, as you're thinking about brand position and as you're thinking about building, and I know Lajide is like building he's already building it and he's making it bigger and better. But like, if you had to ask someone who you think, if you had to ask someone who you think knows what you do, right? Or who follows you online or knows your work, right? If they had to describe what you do, would they be able to do it? If so, what would they say? Chinito, go ahead.
I would say it's a 50-50, especially for those that I've had a longer relationship with. They definitely know what we're doing, how we've done it, why we've done it. But for those that I would say we have a shorter relationship, that's the thing that we're trying to execute. So they can be like the unofficial spokesperson for the business. So when they go out there and they're talking to people and they could say, oh, by the way, do you know about this company? Yeah, we've been doing this with them and this is the reason why. So I feel like when they can do it for you, it's like free advertising for your business and it helps you go a lot further because that's like references that you would have never been able to get because once when somebody's already doing something with you and then they can speak on your behalf to somebody else, that person is more willing to engage in doing any type of partnership with you because they already have some money, and that's like a living testimonial.
Ooh, oh, okay. That was really good and kind of agree, 100% agree with that. In the comment, Tutu said, I don't think anyone can describe what I do yet because I dabble in a lot of things. And Grace said, same Tutu, I can do a lot of things, but I haven't specialized in anything specific. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I can talk about my journey so far. I don't know that a lot of people know me at work, and for the medicine part of it, a lot of people trust what I do, and they can speak for that. They believe that I'm very hardworking, and I've been described as too passionate several times about my patients. But I think that spills over to real estate sometimes because when I was initially dabbling into it and I was raising capital, I was very successful immediately, and it was because of the kind of, I won't call it political capital I've kind of built over time with people and the fact that they trust me a lot in the medical space, and that kind of just transferred into the real estate space. So I enjoyed that quite a lot. I enjoyed that initial success. But once they tapped out and then you have to deal with people that you don't really know you, that's where the kind of real work starts for me right now. That's what I'm trying to kind of put, and I don't know that I'm that known out of the medical space to say much about the real estate or what people think about what I do in the real estate space yet.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. And so we have both sides, right? We have, we have Chinedu who says, I have some people, like people I've worked with for a long time who know exactly, who can articulate exactly what I do. And then the newer people who can't, but that's kind of where the focus is. And then, we kind of have Lajide who says, I'm working on it. Like I'm known in that field that I've always done and I have trust, but this new thing that I'm building, right? Not as well. And I want us to sit with this because it reveals everything, right? If people cannot articulate what you do and why you're the one to trust, right? Then it's not their problem, right? It is, you're not positioning yourself. So it's a positioning problem, right? Because clarity is your responsibility, right? You have to tell them. You have to keep drumming it into their ears, whether it's your posting, whether it's your email, whether it's your newsletter, whatever it is, whether it's how you show up, right? Nobody will understand your value better than you to explain it. So how are you doing with that, right? Are you jumping? Are you turning on your camera? Are you explaining them? Are you setting up meetings? The clearest brand in the room always wins, right? If you see that check mark, you know what it is, right? All the brands that like right? They're the clearest, and the reason why you know them is because they stand for something. If you see that half in eaten apple, like you know what that is, right?
Never mind,
It's
dear.
because they
I
have
got
like the
information
clearest
if you want
brand.
this soup now.
And so that's the most important thing. Oh, hi, Annalisa. And so it's usually not the loudest, but it's the clearest, right? And that's what I want us to think about as you're figuring out, like Tutu and Grace said, I'm not really sure yet, right? But it's really spending time to be clear. To really, you don't have to be the loudest, but you do have to be the clearest, right? What is it that you are selling? What is your unique selling point? What's your value proposition? What should people know you for so that they can speak about what you do? They can talk about the why behind what you're building. Okay, so I want us to get to the uncomfortable part because building trust is not just about what you put out there, right? It's also where the cracks are. And I think, like every business, as you're growing, right? We're talking about brand positioning in your business and building trust. And a lot of us are new in the building phase, but every business has these little cracks. And so I want you to think for a second, right? Where do you think trust might be leaking in your business or in your brand right now, right? Where do you think it might be falling through the cracks? Is it, I'll give you kind of, is it inconsistency in how you show up, right? And Lajide brought that up last week. Or is the gap between what you promise and what people actually experience, like what you promise versus what you deliver? So you over promise and you under deliver, and people see that, right? That could be a crack, or that could be something you're leaking. Is it that like you disappear, like you show up strong for a week and then you disappear and then you come back asking for something again? But I want you to think about where the leak is, because that leak, you need to fix that, right? Because if you're really truly talking about like, I want to build trust, then trust is showing up. Trust is being consistent. Trust is in the follow up, right? So where do you see, if you think about it, like as you sit and you think, right? And this is where we are uncomfortable, we're honest, we're building together. This is like the goal of this is, what can we learn in a short 20 minutes and use it to empower us for the week, for the month, for the year? But where do you see your trust leaking at? I love like people to, if you don't mind sharing, I know a lot of us have, and I'll definitely gladly share one of mine, but where do you see the trust leaking out?
Yeah, I think you alluded to mine, and I'll talk about it again. I think it's because I had that initial spark and a lot of success. I raised over 2 million. It was really good, and then I felt like a fish in a bowl, and all of a sudden I see all these eyes peering at me, and it was like I was on a high for like 3 months, and we raised the capital, we closed the deal, and I was like, oh. And I just got worried. I got nervous. It was just I just felt out there, and I just went back into my shell, and I covered the blanket on my face, and I disappeared from LinkedIn for a few months, and I lost that momentum. And they warned me, said if you lose the momentum, you won't get it back as quickly as you had it before. But I rose back again from the dead, and and I'm trying to gain the momentum back now. But I think that another thing that happened this past Saturday, I think I talked about it before, that I was going to be doing a LinkedIn Live. I couldn't get the last one done because of technical issues. So this one also had technical issues, but at least like we got it done. Yeah, it had technical issues again. So actually, like half of the video, you couldn't really see us because we didn't know how to make ourselves present. I think people they could hear us. People that were there live could hear us, but they couldn't see us. But after the other half, we did it for like 20 minutes. The other half, you can see both of us and you can hear us. So, and to me, that's another inconsistency because now it's the first time I'm doing it. And people see that and they're like, oh my God, this guy just doesn't know the heck what he's doing. So I hope that doesn't come to bite me. But I'll keep showing up. I'll keep doing it every week. But I think that being consistent is huge, so that people can build trust and know that your yay is your yay. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And in the comment, I hear I need to work on consistency and showing up. Inconsistency. I need to work on following up with people. I could be better at selling myself and closing the loop. All all completely true. And I'll say one of my inconsistencies is follow up. We do all the work, we do all the hard work, we show up, we're going to conferences, we're doing all the things, and sometimes you need to follow up 10 times, right? You need to keep going. Like you need to be consistent in your follow-up game. And so I will say that, and this is me putting it out there so that I can hold myself accountable and so that you guys can hold me accountable. But like if you have something unique, if you have something worth of value, right, it's okay to keep telling them until they hear. And it might take them 5, 6, 7 times to get the message. So I would just say that's something that I'm going to put out there, that something that I'm really working on. So yes. So as always, right? As we wrap up, I want this power hour to be, or power 30 minutes. I want it to be something that you can take away and you can go and implement right away and see change and continue to grow. So this is my challenge for this week. I want you to do 2 things, right? I want you to first ask someone, whether it's a client, a colleague, even someone here, you can use me, but ask them, like, what do you think of me? What do you think of what I do? When you think of me, right? What comes to mind, right? So like for me, if I asked, let's just say I asked Chinedu, like, when you think about me and you think about Dr. Nkem and Phoenix Capital, what comes to mind, right? So I'm not going to, the goal is don't coach them, don't lead them, just listen to what they say, right? Because the answer that they give you is your real brand position right now. That's where you are. But that doesn't mean that you can't work on it and fix it, right? But at least you know where you are, you can figure out the gaps and that you can work on that. So just ask them, just an honest, candid question, right? Again, client, colleague, maybe the next person who jumps on a call with you, you can ask them that question. And then secondly, that's my first challenge. My second one is identify kind of one trust leak in your business and then fix it this week, right? So just the whole idea is that you would take baby steps, right? We're not trying to run, but like if you're starting, right, fix one thing this week. Maybe, and for me, I'll put it out there. I was at a conference this weekend and I have to follow up with the people. And so for me, it's going to be following up with someone that I've left hanging, right? But maybe it's being more consistent. A lot of people said it in the chat, be more consistent. It could even be simplifying your message so that people actually understand what you do. And maybe they can't tell you what you do because they don't know it. But so maybe people to help simplify your message and your offer, right? But pick one leak and then try to patch it. So that's my ask for the week, because this is the truth, right? We're all trying to grow a business. We're all trying to live expansive lives, but the businesses that grow the fastest, they aren't always the ones like with the best product, right? They're the ones that people trust the most. And that trust is truly built in very small, consistent moments over time. We always talk about building reps here, but it is putting in the work. It's being consistent. It's not in like one big campaign and then you run away. It's not in, always saying, I'm looking for that viral post on LinkedIn. It's not that, right? It's showing up, it's being clear, and it's delivering on what you said you would, right? Those things matter so much to people, right? The people that we're interacting with. So I'd say this week, right, go build that trust, right? Figure out what that looks like as you continue to like figure it out in your business. But that is the real growth strategy, right? It's not like, okay, I want to do 10,000 sales calls today, right? It's figuring out what your brand positioning is, building that trust, and then patching up the leak. So I hope that this was super helpful. If you have any last minute questions or comments, please feel free to put it in the chat. And Tutu put a link to join the community. So if this was helpful in any way, I'm excited. Like in the community, find us. Figure out like how you improved your brand positioning, what you did. If you ask someone, and they were able to help you, please tell us. If you've had a leak and you're like, this is something that I'm leaking trust, right? And I fixed it. I was consistent. I showed up. I followed up. All the things. I'd love to hear about it in the community. But this was fun. I want to say thank you to everybody who participated and who showed up. Thank you so much. This was a wonderful session. But if you, yay, thank you, Mary. If you don't have any other questions, we will wrap it up. I stole 3 minutes of your time, but I think it was very worth it. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening and see you next Monday. Oh, one more thing, bring a friend. So if you thought this was helpful, we want to grow. So bring a friend along with you so that we can continue to build and learn from each other. Okay, bye guys. You're welcome. Bye.